These are 4 visual mixing and mastering plugins that I feel we need in FL Studio 21 when the next version of FL Studio finally does drop. Number 1, so it's been increasingly common to have LUFS as a standard of measurement in terms of how loud or not loud your music actually is. Way too often in my mixing and mastering videos, I've had to recommend third-party plugins like this one, Lean Loudness Meter version 2. This is absolutely free, but it will give you accurate LUFS readings. That way you can actually get an idea of how loud your music actually is. Someone once told me before that Wave Candy is able to measure LUFS, but that's definitely not correct. If you go to the meter section and you go to this drop-down menu with modes, you'll see peak, PPM, RMS, VU, so on and so forth. None of those are registering the same numbers as Lean Loudness Meter. I've compared Lean to quite a few different loudness meters that measure LUFS. All of those are pretty much equal. They usually come out with the same exact numbers. However, Wave Candy was not able to reproduce those numbers, so I don't even know what some of those other algorithms are measuring, but I definitely recommend not using Wave Candy to try to measure your LUFS. Number 2, you'll also see that there's this True Peak section, True Peak Max, at the bottom of Lean. And I've mentioned True Peak in my previous video with Maximus 2. I'll link that down below. But basically, I requested that Maximus 2 have actual True Peak detection. That way, when you change the output of the master to -1 dB, it actually is -1 dB, and that's what most streaming services recommend. But it would also be really nice to have a metering tool where we could visually see exactly what True Peak Max we're actually hitting, whether it is -1 or what. Number 3, I've actually mentioned this before in my Parametric EQ3 video in my series for FL Studio 21 updates and requests. I'll link that down below as well. But basically, I requested that we get an actual spectrum analyzer inside of Parametric EQ3 rather than just the bright lights that show up, because this is just a lot more accurate in terms of deciphering how much louder a frequency is than its surrounding frequency. So when I hit that, I also have this hold button, and you can see exactly how loud these peaks are compared to the peaks right next to it. Just having a bright color that's brighter than the color next to it, it's not really giving you accurate information in terms of how much louder that sound is. Sure, brighter means louder, but how much louder is it? You're really only going to get that by having these scale up right beside the numbers that you're looking for. But my request isn't just to have this inside of Parametric EQ3. I don't want to have to load up an EQ just to get some spectrum analysis. It would be nice to have a separate plugin where I don't have to recommend another third-party plugin for people to download, like Span. It would be nice to just have spectrum analysis as a plugin right inside of FL Studio that you can load up on any channel or on your master and get your frequency response quickly, easily, and accurately. I also recommend having this hold feature as well. I find that to be very, very useful. Number 4, a correlation meter. So if I pull up Wave Candy again, you'll see that there is a vector scope, and that could tell you how wide a sound is or how mono it is. So you can see here that this is pretty mono overall. The problem with this is it's not really going to tell you whether or not you're in the danger zone of having phase cancellation or not. It'll just tell you whether or not your sound is wide or narrow. But having a correlation meter, this actually gives you a -1 or a +1 response. So anything from this middle point, 0, on to the right, you're good. I would even say on the master, I've had some mixes where I've dipped just slightly below this, but for the most part, most of the signal was staying in the positive range. Whenever you're dipping into the negative range, that's when you're getting phase cancellation. So this is a really useful meter to have on your stereo mix. That way you know whether or not you actually have issues if your song were to be played on a cell phone or in the club or just on any monitoring system that's not using stereo monitors. I know that ImageLine definitely watches the channel, so your comments and you liking the video definitely helps to get the word out. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.